Thank you, Preeta, for inviting me, and it's a very interesting topic. Um my introductory thing is both literature and visual arts mirror their contemporary society, and sculptural arts reach many more people, and as a result, are more sensitive to changes and assimilation of regional and local beliefs. And subsequently, how these mythical hybrid beings are replaced or their popularity has waned. I'm trying to show in 30 minutes, in 30 slides. But I've tried to at the same time show off some of the lesser known temples of Maharashtra. And I have also tried to uh, understand the reason why they are depicted rather than only documentation. So, this is something I have not mentioned, but I wanted to emphasize that the hybrids represented generally are related to the importance of the local area. And this is from the Rajgir Manyar Mutt in Bihar. Unfortunately, none of this is left. All that is left is the mutt with the bare walls. But there is a sculpture in the museum which is Nag and Nagini, that is also from Rajgir. It just emphasizes that local areas matter in what is represented. So I'm going to only limit myself to four temples, and my point is that we are thinking in terms of 20 our own century, our own sensibilities, but you have to think about the time when these were made, and majority of the people were not literate then, and visuals was the only medium of mass communication with a large reach and relative permanence. I mean, they didn't vanish like a kirtana inside a temple would be temporary. But I can imagine the joy of simple people who walk into the temple. They are not even allowed to enter every temple, but there is suddenly a lithic library. It's a library in stone that appears in front of them in the form of sculptures on temple walls. So I can consider the mythical hybrid beings is they would provide to the people the same kind of delight we had when we were children in reading Gulliver or Sinbad or Tarzan. My guess. Anyway, I'm showing four temples, and again, they are from four different areas. The one is the Ambernath, of course, is near Thana in near Bombay. Uh, Mandha is part of excavations near Nagpur, and Gadchiroli district, that is kind of most tourists would avoid it, but it is quite okay now. That is the Markanda temples, and the last one is the South Solapur, one small temple. And I'm starting with the Mandar. Before you understand the Mandar temple, loose sculptures and how I can date them fairly well is this. This is the Vakatakas that people are not familiar with. They all know Vatsagulma branch because of Harishena. But the other branch, the main branch was at Nandivardhan, and these copper plates were found along with the sculptures I'm going to show, loose sculptures. This is, and again, we also have to understand that the local region, local beliefs are reflected in whatever you see. And you can see from the names of the places themselves, Bhola Hudki, Bongi Hudki, Varadi Talav, these are associated with the forest areas, what actually sometimes was referred to as the Jadi Mandal. But these copper plates were found along with these images. The images uh, included, there was a rectangular brick platform which gave a lot of these 20 odd broken images, and therefore they are probably second half of 4th century. Now, these images are not necessarily involving an animal. There are a couple with the animal part, but what I find interesting is this is the beginning of um, image making. This is the beginning of iconography. So if there is no precedence and an acharya is explaining that the Sadashiva will have multiple heads, how would the ordinary sapati, the person who is asked to do this, imagine it? So you see these are images of Mahasadashiva that has been identified as Mahasadashiva. These were excavated from that treasure trove. Now you can see there is a totally decentralized, so to speak. I mean, there are two heads on each arm, two heads on the legs also, and this is how the arrangement is there of the heads. And this is where, actually, in a way, this fits into the seminar, because this is Balaram and Sankarshan. There was also Vasudeva, but Balaram and Sankarshan were probably Dhenukasura Vada depiction. It is broken, but from behind you can see that it has a snake's tail, and though the top is missing, it would have been fanned out as a canopy of the snake hoods. This is Naigamesha, and I'm going a little fast because I want to stick to my time limit. Now I'm already in Markandi. Markandi is, like I said, it's in the Gadchiroli district, and this is the Vainaganga river, and it changes the direction, and therefore this is considered a holy tirtha. And you can imagine, if I can find some person or somewhere, so you can get a scale. This is a person, so you can get the scale of the temple. The entrance is to the east, and the Nandi Mandap is partially gone, but this is the entire temple, and it was struck by lightning during the reign of a Gond king, the tribal king, and that is why it is left like this. Now, this is the closer look. Now, what I'm going to stress here in this temple is that this is probably the 11th century. That is what the historians say. But you can see that it is very much taken on the model of the Khajuraho temple. For one thing, it is three janga, and it has I'll show you later, a Chatushpada Sadashiva, which is also represented in Khajuraho. Khajuraho is definitely based on Shaiva Siddhanta theology that Dr. Devangana Desai has already proved. But this may not be so, and yet Sadashiva concept is here also, and that Chatushpada Sadashiva appears here. And an important thing is the connection between the Vedas, the Vedic religion, appears in the form of the Ashtavasus. Now, in the original concept of 33 deities, it included Ashtavasu, then Ekadasha Rudra, Dvadasha Aditya, and Indra and Prajapati. So their roots go back very far. And they are represented here both on the mandapa and also on the Garbhagruha. Only difference is, on the mandapa, they are with their wives, and here they are alone. And just as a reminder, of the 8 Vasus, the legend has it that one of they once approached Vasishta's ashram, and one of the Vasu's wives asked her husband to steal his Nandini cow. And when Vasishta found out, he cursed them that they will be born in the Mrityuloka. But then when they propitiated, they said, okay, 7 of the Vasus will be released from the curse as soon as they're born. But the 8th one, who actually committed the crime, will have to live out the life. And that 8th Vasu was Shantanu's son from the Ganga, that is Devavrata Bhishma. So, and this is the representation. It is a very elaborate trijanga, and it has a Chatushpada Sadashiva. The next picture is clearer, and these Dr. Desai assumes that because there are inscribed, there are a couple of images of Chatushpada Sadashiva. One of them is right inside the temple, and it has an inscription, not this one. It has an inscription that gives the name of the Acharya, and the Acharya is from the Shaiva Siddhanta. So it is perhaps The four legs represent the four parts of the agamas. I mean, Jnana, Kriya, Yoga, and Charya. Then Vasus, I mentioned, and the west face is, at least you can, because there's so many sculptures, somebody has actually counted them more than 400. But the point is, because this is the main Bhadra, it is free of the Mandapa clutter which goes in the background. You can see the Vasus on the corners. Vasus are on the corners. Dikpalas are also on the corners. And Vasus and Dikpalas together are supposed to guard the temple. Here also you have another, but he is not Chatushpada. And these are the images that appear here on the Trijanga. The lowest one is Harihara Pitamaha Surya syncretic image. Then you have Natesha, and then you have the Sadashiva. This is a syncretic image. You have the lotus of the Surya, you have the Shruk of the Brahma, you have the Chakra of the Vishnu, and you have the Akshamala and Kamandalu of Shiva, but you still have the seven horses, the chariot driven by Aruna. This is Natesha, you have the Vadaka here, Tala Vadaka, and this is a Sadashiva image. Here I have shown just a few of the, because I could not, there are so many Vyalas, I cannot possibly show you all the figures, but here, this again, I'm saying it is Jadi Mandal. I mean, there were, these were forested areas, elephants were likely to be there, and everywhere you have these Vyalas, different, any number of types of Vyalas. There is a Mruga Vyala, there's a Shuka Vyala, and there's a Marjara Vyala also. And they are all trampling on the elephants here on this side. Here again, one corner, both corners have Vasus. Just like Ashtadikpalas, Ashtavasus. So you have the Dikpalas. This is the detail that I just showed you, and on the other side also similar Trijanga, three Bhadras. Here also there is a single Vasu, and here on the Janga you have, because it is facing north, you have Chamunda, you have Bhairava, and you have Saraswati. And of course the Vyalas, different types of Vyalas, you can see any number of animals are represented. This particular one looks almost like the grass pattis that we have in the Solanki, as well as some of Ambernath, for example, one of the layers on the peat. Again, you have different types of Vyalas and the Dikpalas. But here, because this is on the Mandapa, the Vasus are limited as couples. I think I've shown them on the next slide. No, this is something classic. This is a Naravyala. I don't think I've seen any images of Naravyala before. And it is Naravyala. You can see the beard, you can see the ears, and you can see an ear ornament. Unlikely that any other animal would have an ear ornament. That brings me to Ambernath. Now, Ambernath, again, like Markandi and like Khajuraho, unlike Markandi, but like Khajuraho, is based definitely on Shaiva Siddhanta. And Sadashiva concept is very elaborately represented on the Ambernath temple. Brung, and he tore through so that, he bored through the image so that he could circumambulate only the Shiva part of it. So Parvati got angry, she cursed him to forever remain like this. Now the point is, and this is where I'm still waiting for Preeta to visit, because this is where we do not agree. This is a Saumya form, and these are, the Bhadras are in triptychs. So there will be a Raudra form on either side of a Saumya image. So this is Saumya, And next to it, very badly abraded, is something which I call as a Sharabhesha. Sharabhesha, you must understand that Ambernath has similar images like you see in any of the Tamil temples, but they are very different representation. Lingodbhava here is totally different. And so this is Sharabhesha. How do I know? Because you can see the mane of the lion. You can see the mane of the lion, and you can see the tail of the lion, and you can see hands folded Vishnu, because Narasimha, and this is also Narasimha, this is Chakra, he is vanquished because apparently Narasimha got carried away after killing Hiranyakashipu, and he started to cause havoc, and therefore Shiva had to take a form which was even more fearsome. Now, this is an example. I'm trying to look at reasons why these was devised. Now, here it is definitely for the to conquer the rivalry, or the Acharya, I'm sure, was a devout Shiva Bhakta, and although he had to follow the agamas, and he had to have Sadashiva, and it really hurt him, I think, to portray Vishnu on a Shiva temple. And the Mandapakarna, as I said, on the Mandapakarna, Umavaktra and Vamadeva, that is Vishnu, are they share the Karna. One side of the Karna is for the west side, it is Chandika and Varaha, and on the east part of the Mandapa's Karna, there is Varaha and Narasimha and Mahishasuramardini. Now, these two forms of Vishnu, the Acharya has made sure that on the Garbhagruha they know their place. The Mandapa is a different thing, but on the Garbhagruha, because he wanted somewhere to show that Shiva is greater than Vishnu, therefore Sharabhesha is portrayed to convey that he vanquished that particular form of Vishnu portrayed on the temple. Similar thing is seen in the Lingodbhava, because one of the Karanas, or Brahma, is there and Vishnu is there, but Vishnu is there as Varaha. And therefore, on the Lingodbhava, you have just a central pillar of fire, and there is no image of Shiva coming out of it, but you have full size image, not full size, half size images of Brahma with folded hands and Vishnu with folded hands, acknowledging that Shiva is supreme. So it is this kind of a rivalry which has led to this image. Sharabhesha image is, I don't think, is seen in any other temples in Maharashtra. And there's Narasimha worshippers in their place, that this is a Shiva temple, Shiva is greater than Vishnu. And Vishnu is portrayed. Vishnu is portrayed, but he is portrayed on the Shurasenaka, on a subsidiary. I mean, he is not neither on the Ghanadwara nor on the Gavaksha. He is in between. And you can see very beautiful sculptures. And this is Garuda. And he is holding very delicately on the palm of his hand, is supporting his Vishnu's thigh. On the other, he is supporting his foot. So Garuda also is portrayed. And in that context, I'm going to show you Garuda images from the Central Museum in Nagpur, because they have a full image of Garuda. Do not know from which temple, but you can see he is very well ornamented, and he's even got shown with a Prabhavari, little miniature wings, and the crown. And look at what he's wearing. Even his see his it's not, cannot call it adovastra, but whatever it is shown with the details in it. He is wearing all kinds of ornaments. So both sides I have taken to illustrate this beautiful image. Solid, I mean, it's a loose image, independent of the main image. It might have been standing in front of the temple from which it was found. This is from Madhya Pradesh, originally Madhya Pradesh, but now in Nagpur, that is now in Maharashtra. And this is something I'm going to show from Solapur district. Solapur district, here also it is called Kudala Sangam because it's not the famous Kudala Sangam, but Kudala means actually Sangam. So this is where Bhima and Sina meet. And therefore, this was a holy. There are two other temples, also Shiva temples, but traditional Trikuta temples. They are the older ones. They were, and there's lots of inscriptions. But this temple was unearthed, so to speak, in 1996 through the efforts of the local history and Indology. Indology was not the subject then, but who was interested in it, with the help of local people, and they unearthed this broken temple, and it is a temple of Harihara. And you can see it has beautiful, and you see why they are, this is the central pillar, central bracket on the central pillar, and there are two garbhagruhas, one is for Hari, one is for Hara, and you can see that the brackets on either side are pointing to the center of that particular, they are connected, but they are two mandapa halves connected by the central one. And here there are beautiful kinnaras, a kinnar and a kinnari. I do not have good photos, so I've tried to enlarge them from the same photo. This is the beam, this is the kinnari, and there are specific attributes that one plays the drum and the other one plays the cymbals. In the sense, one manages the tala and the other one manages the sound, I guess. So these are the two kinnaras. You do not see kinnaras, many kinnaras in temples we have. So I think that is, I may have rushed through, but if there are any questions, I can answer them. Thank you.